YouTube is the one where like that's the
Uh,
one social platform where you can have real passive earnings because
I wish I got into that earlier for sure.
you build up this catalog of, content and then it just continues to earn
Yeah, it's
basically
because of all the
forever.
it's all the watch time you get, man. I mean, attention is currency. So when you have all those guys watching like 30-minute videos, I mean, it doesn't take many of those to get those people ready to buy whatever you have to sell, you know?
Dude, and this is why podcasts are so great because,
Exactly.
it's the only kind of content that's easy to make, enjoyable, and you can have 10 ads in the middle of an, I mean,
Oh,
if you have an ad every 10 minutes in the hour, podcast is, 90 minutes long.
yeah, it's definitely something I've always wanted to get into, and I think I'm going to be able to in the next year or so. So
100%. I definitely recommend it. Um, in terms of someone, sort of, do you think someone can pick their niche or do you think their niche picks them?
that's a good question. So I think personally, you want to start with a niche that you have a ton of knowledge on. So I didn't go into my niche like knowing nothing about baseball. I was already a baseball nerd. I knew the ins and outs of baseball. I knew like I was watching Quick Pitch every morning. I don't know if you know Quick Pitch.
I'm
I was
familiar.
I
Yep.
was MLB Network. Like, dude, I was a MLB geek. So those I mean, basically that knowledge of all that stuff translated very well to what I did, and it skyrocketed my success. If I were to start in like golf or something like that, with something I'm not that familiar with, it would definitely be harder. I'm not saying I could do it because now I easily can now that I know the systems in place that it takes. But out the gate, especially when you factor in the passion that you were talking about, I mean, if you're not passionate about it out the gate, that first 10K is going to be a living hell, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, the next 10K too. Like the whole thing is just gonna be hell.
It is, yeah. I mean, it takes a while for it to be like enjoyable, and you don't have to like spend a lot of time to get the results that you want. You know,
Yeah, really the only enjoyable part of it, if you're not passionate about like the niche, is the money.
exactly.
And at that point you might as well do something else.
Yeah, because it's not. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Because there's definitely other avenues if your sole goal is money. But I will say there's some other perks to it as well. So you also get the attention factor too when you build up a platform. Like now, as you know, like I've connected my personal brand to my page
Yep.
as well. So that's helping me in a lot of different areas other than just strictly
Yeah,
money.
this is what you've done. I've never really seen anyone else do when they rebrand their theme page or
Mhm.
theme brand to being part of their personal brand. What has sort of the impact you've seen so far?
Yeah, man, it's actually been very rewarding since I did it. I've never envisioned it be this rewarding. So the reason why I didn't do it up to this point was because I was playing college baseball and I didn't want that light shine on me as I was playing. And I even had I originally did start to implement it, but then I had immediate like I would post certain content that would be like very controversial, and I would literally have people email my AD, and it would we would have these school wide meetings over it, like literally like
Whoa.
school wide meetings over like getting hate emails through my through my followers or someone that didn't like my post or something like that. So I immediately took that out. I was like, all right, I gotta wait till I'm done with baseball. So yeah, I wrapped it up this year. So I was able to implement my personal brand into it. But yeah, I mean, really the things I saw were like it really just kind of goes into scaling my personal brand. I think personal brands are 100% the way to go, especially in the next 5 to 10 years. I think people that did not grow a personal brand are going to absolutely regret it so bad if in the next 5 to 10 years because of the what it's going to do for basically your entire life. Your network is the biggest one, I believe. Like just really seeing getting all of that attention on your face and getting recognized, you know. And I think if you can just get that attention to your personal brand, no matter what you do, you can basically just sell anything, you know? So it really comes down to like a lot of different factors, but I've seen a lot of benefits from growing my personal brand and doing that. And it's really the whole Doyle Media thing. I definitely thought that was the best route to go for brand deals as well. And it definitely looks more professional, and it's not just a theme page that looked like some 12-year-old kid started it, which I did, but but yeah, I definitely think that's the way to scale. So that was my vision behind it.
This episode is powered by thehobbyletter.com. It's the newsletter that I started that shares everything we do on the marketing front, everything that we use to build Hoops Nation 0 to 10 million on social, everything that we've used to build dozens of brands to over 100,000 or a million in their own niches and grow the business. Everything on Instagram, everything on Facebook, everything on TikTok, everything on Twitter, so on and so forth, including our campaign business as well. It's everything that we learn from other people, everything we've learned ourselves from experience. I hope you check it out, thehobbyletter.com. Your first month is on me. So check it out. Link in the description below, and I'll see you there. Love it. Very cool. That's crazy that people were sending your
I
administrators
know, man. It
emails.
was wild, man. I was just trying to play some college baseball and
I mean,
enjoy
how
it.
bad could the post have been?
No, yeah, yeah. People take posts like completely wrong. Yeah, so it was
Yeah,
bad.
I think building a personal brand, I mean, I guess it depends on who you are, but sometimes it's much more difficult than building, theme pages or brands. Sometimes it's much
It is.
easier. It just depends.
Depends really what your niche is. Depends what you're doing, and basically, like if you have other factors that go into that funnel, like your YouTube, for example, or podcast, that obviously plays a massive role in it. So stuff like that too, for sure.
Yeah. Um, it's going to be interesting. Uh, so countries all around the world, like Australia, just instituted a under 16 ban of social media. Florida yesterday just did an under 14 ban of social media. They're trying to
Really?
prevent they're trying to prevent the next generation of us from
Yeah.
coming up. Uh, it's it's pretty interesting. It sort of feels like there might not be a next generation of like kids building theme pages, and it's a lot of it has become very professionalized. So like in the sports space in the last 10 years, I would say 80% of accounts have been acquired by bigger companies or
I know. Yep.
corporations.
I've seen
Uh,
that. And what's crazy is like those guys like me and you that built those theme pages, they're selling out for so low right now.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous. Like they don't understand like if they held on for a couple more years, like what that will even do to the amount of money that because they don't understand the value because the portrayed value of it right now overall is like so low compared to what the actual value of all that attention is.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
getting judged on like the current revenue on like
exactly. Yeah.